Meaningful jewelry, compelling artifacts, rather familiar pieces of Legends history, and tributes to certain notable moments were all hiding in plain sight in live-action and animated Star Wars adventures. So let's take a closer look at exactly why each and every one of these background items and objects were far more important than you likely ever realized. Because I am Gareth, this is What Culture Star Wars, and here are 10 background Star Wars items more important than you think. Number 10, the dancing goddess and more in Dryden's office. As this list will show off a few more times before its end, just about every office or store in the galaxy far, far away is absolutely overflowing with wonderful and fascinating objects that are far more than just pretty decorations. Take Crimson Dawn leader Dryden Voss's office in Solo: A Star Wars Story, a room that boasted more background items with hugely intriguing backstories than you can shake a lightsaber at. Firstly, you have the Dancing Goddess, a green statuette that popped up in the Legends Marvel Star Wars comics, with it being a vital part of the House of the Goddess machine on Godo, and even ending up in Lando Calrissian's possession at some point. Elsewhere, that distinct skull seen in the background here seemingly isn't just a nod to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. This masthead of Zim the Despot, made of Mitag crystal, was a nod to the Han Solo and the Lost Legacy Legends novel. You see, that book's cover included a similar looking crystal skull on it. The ashes of Contis Spex I, a former Supreme Chancellor, were also visible here in arcs positioned near the aforementioned Dancing Goddess. Put simply, Voss's office was stuffed full of items more important than you initially thought. Number 9, the Battle Memorial. From the somewhat smaller background items found in an office, to the rather unmissable ones plonked right in the middle of Coruscant. The Bad Batch Season 2 episode, The Solitary Clone, sees Crosshair reunite with Commander Cody in front of a large memorial. What you may not have realized, though, is the history behind this big slab of stone. First popping up in the Clone Wars Season 5 episode, The Jedi Who Knew Too Much, this was actually a huge piece of Geonosian rock taken from the planet where the Clone Wars officially began. And each and every clone who fell during that first battle of the Wars designation was eventually engraved onto what would become known as the First Battle Memorial. Crosshair and Cody's return to the Battle Memorial at episode's end, and the latter's comments on the clones having to live with their choices, feel that little more impactful once you realise exactly what sacrifices that piece of rock was commemorating. Now I'm going to ask you a question. I want to know, what is your favourite animated Star Wars show of all time? And if you're not done there, then let me know what your favourite scene is in the comments section below too. Number 8, the Twilight Ark. Keeping in the animated corner of the galaxy far, far away for this next entry, Star Wars The Clone Wars first season saw a surprisingly important artifact being carried onto a vessel during the Liberty on Ryloth episode. Look closely in the background as Amir Wat Tambor orders various droids and native Twi'leks to stuff many a valuable onto his ship, and you'll spot a few of the latter species carrying a somewhat familiar Ark in the distance. Snuck into the background as a nod to the Ark of the Covenant found in the Indiana Jones adventure known as Raiders of the Lost Ark, said artifact would go on quite the journey in the years to come. Following on from its debut here, the Golden Twilight Ark would again pop up in an animated Star Wars tale, this time during the Rebels Season 3 episode The Winkathu Job. Here, StarWars.com confirmed that the Ark is present on an Imperial cargo ship that would eventually be destroyed by the Spectres, with a lot of the treasure on board that vehicle being later looted by rebels. Hell, at one point, the Star Wars Forces of Destiny series revealed that Maz Kanata even ended up getting her hands on the precious Twi'lek Ark. In other words, this Ark that was no doubt incredibly valuable to the people of Ryloth got around. Number 7, an important photo on the Ghost. And speaking of the iconic Spectres found battling against the Empire throughout the Star Wars Rebels animated series, the leader of this squad and captain of the Ghost made her return to the galaxy far, far away during last year's first season of Ahsoka, when the Twi'lek legend known as Hera Syndulla boards her famous ship with her son Jason during the Part 4 Fallen Jedi episode though. Eagle-eyed fans were able to spot a little detail capable of bringing a tear to even the most soulless of Star Wars viewers. You see, in the middle of all of the buttons and screens present on the Ghost dashboard is a small photo. But this isn't just any old pal of Hera and the gang sitting in front of Syndulla. It's Hera's one-time partner, the father of Jason and former master of Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus. Voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr. in the animated series, the actor actually reprises his role for this easily missed but super important photo. One that may have just set the stage for a flashback appearance from the star at some point in the future, possibly even in the upcoming second season. Prinze Jr. may have gone on record to say he's done with the character, but you can never say never in this galaxy. Number 6, the special armor in Luthen's shop. Another room crammed full of items more important than the average viewer probably assumed they were. Luthen Rael's Galactic Antiquities and Objects of Interest gallery on Coruscant was a Star Wars collector's dream in the first season of Andor, along with a headpiece similar to the one Padme Amidala was seen wearing in Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, some clearly Mandalorian armor, a mask worn by a Jedi Temple guard, what looks to be a Sith holocron, a Wookiee helmet, a Gungan personal energy shield, some carbonite blocks, some pieces of the World Between Worlds tablets, and even Sankara stones from the Temple of Doom, because it wouldn't be a Star Wars project without an Indiana Jones nod. Those Legends fans out there will have likely spotted another important object. As seen in the Star Wars The Force Unleashed video game, the helmet sitting over the shoulder of Mon Mothma at one point is actually the same one worn by Starkiller, with this particular item being unlocked in the game after completing the main campaign and experiencing the dark side alternate ending. Starkiller confirmed to appear in an upcoming Star Wars project then? Probably not. But this is still far more than just a cool looking artifact in the background. Are you enjoying this What Culture Star Wars video? Then tap on that subscribe button down below for more, I say. Number 5, the Lost 20 and some secret cameos. As Obi-Wan Kenobi searches the Jedi archives during Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, the Jedi Master takes a moment to stare at Count Dooku's bust before Master Jocasta Nu stops by to help. Why had the Jedi opted to dump a statue of the one-time Order member in their library though? Especially after the powerful Force user had opted to leave behind the life of a Jedi. Well, those who haven't taken the various deleted scenes that didn't make it into the Skywalker saga for a spin, probably didn't realise that Dooku and the rest of those background busts present in this room represent a group collectively known as the Lost 20. Each and every one of these former masters parted ways with the Order at different points in time over the years, with these statues of them sitting within the temple as a reminder of the fact that even Jedi Masters were not perfect, and a reminder of the Order's greatest failures. Oh yeah, and just a fun trivia note as well, Star Wars creator George Lucas, animation director Rob Coleman, and model supervisor Brian Gernand's heads were used to create a few of these Lost 20 busts too. So yep, that's a few of their heads in the background. Number 4, the artifacts and statues in Palpatine's office. Keeping with the prequel era of Star Wars movies, and to another office that turned out to be the background item gift that just kept on giving. A lot of time is spent within Sheev Palpatine's office during Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith in particular, and it's during Anakin Skywalker's visits to that location and conversations with the eventual Emperor, where a few notable items show up around the pair. Those gigantic vases standing either side of a doorway, they are actually spirit urns of Sith origin. Then you have the 4 bronzium statues found regularly staring at the two. These were actually the 4 sages of Duarte, a collection of controversial philosophers who influenced the world of politics during the early days of the Galactic Republic. Oh, and one of said statues, the one of Sistros Nevet, was actually more useful than it looked, with it secretly containing one of Palpatine's Sith lightsabers. Also, the bas-relief behind Skywalker as he finally realizes Palpatine is actually the Sith Lord they've been searching for, showed off the Great Hyperspace War, a conflict that saw the Jedi clash with the Sith around 5,000 years before the events of the Skywalker saga. A Sith chalice from none other than Malachor, a planet that notably pops up in the Rebels animated series, is also visible in the office too. Put simply, Palpatine's true dark side nature was on show for all to see in the form of these rather important background objects. Number 3, Poe Dameron's necklace. While it may not technically be an item placed in the background of a scene during a Star Wars story, the thing hanging around Poe Dameron's neck is still very much a small, seemingly unimportant detail that many understandably overlook during Episode 8, The Last Jedi. This wasn't just any old bit of bling the brilliant pilot opted to throw on one morning though. As revealed in the Star Wars The Last Jedi The Visionary Dictionary, the necklace seen occasionally jumping out of Dameron's shirt actually held his mother's own wedding ring. And why did he choose to carry the ring of Shara Bey, a rebel fighter found in the Shattered Empire comics and other Star Wars canon material, around with him every day? Well, Poe hoped to one day give this super important item to his own partner when he found the right person to be with. Brings a damn tear to your eye. Number 2, the Camtono. While George Lucas, Irving Kershner, and the rest of the minds behind Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, likely didn't plan on the bloke found running around with an ice cream maker in the background on Cloud City becoming an eventual meme, that is precisely what happened in the years that followed Wilro Hood darting across the screen in 1980. But while you may think this dude simply picked up the closest sweet treat maker and made for the nearest exit as the city was evacuated, he was actually in the middle of a rather important job. As revealed in the From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back book, Hood, a disgruntled gas miner, had been paid a decent chunk of money to deliver a Camtono, the ice cream maker, to a person on the planet Batuu. And the object and its contents were so important, if anything happened to them, Hood was warned that himself and everyone he cared about would be in danger. In the end though, something did unfortunately happen to it. It was destroyed before Hood could get to Batuu. Awkward. This wasn't the only time a Camtono has shown up in the galaxy far, far away either, with various security containers showing up in everything from The Mandalorian to the Book of Boba Fett too. But it all started with this background ice cream maker. Number 1, the compass in Luke's home. During those years in between the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order, it's safe to say the legendary Luke Skywalker kept himself rather busy, along with creating his own Jedi Temple and attempting to train another generation of peacekeepers. This son of Anakin actually tried to learn all that he could about the Order and its history. This quest to discover as much knowledge as possible about the Jedi led to him finding a number of intriguing artifacts over the years too, including a little item which was eventually spotted in the background during Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Just before Chewbacca smashes his way into Luke's hut on Acto, the camera lingers on a collection of objects, with one of these being a silver compass with a small blue orb in the center. This wasn't just a funky prop someone thought would look cool in Skywalker's gaff though. This was actually a star compass Luke rescued from one of the Emperor's observatories on Pilio during the Battlefront 2 video game campaign. And if that wasn't already interesting enough, it turns out that this compass actually helped him find Acto in the first place. That's according to Episode 8's shooting script via /film. Were it not for this important background item then, Luke seemingly would have never found this birthplace of the Jedi Order. An important compass indeed.